Hey everyone, welcome back to Tired Old Queen at the Movies. Don't forget about our movie merch below, subscribe if you haven't already, and now let's go see the Tired Old Queen at the Movies, Steve Hayes.
It ain't easy being easy. But that show is, huh? Come on in. You have to climb Mount Everest to reach the Valley of the Dolls. It's a brutal climb to reach that peak. You stand there, waiting for that moment of exhilaration, but it doesn't come. You're alone. And the loneliness can be overwhelming. Hi, happy gay pride, Johnny! Guess what we're doing this year? I decided I wanted to do a really fun gay classic that's a big fan with all of the gays. So I chose 1967's Valley of the Dolls, directed by Mark Robson and starring Patty Duke, Barbara Parkins, Sharon Tate, Susan Hayward, Lee Grant, Tony Scotti, Martin Milner, and Naomi Stevens, and Alex Davian. Now, this was based on a novel by Jacqueline Susann that was a runaway bestseller. So much has been written about this movie. So much has been said and talked about this movie in every form. So I decided to take a personal look at it from my own standpoint. This was a movie that came out when I was very young adolescent, and this was the book that I went to the librarian and opened up and read all of the sexy parts. All the sexy parts. You could set the book down at the desk of the library and it would automatically open to page 124 through 128. Jennifer gets it on the bed from Tony while she hears about the death of her mother. You know, this is how this book was. It was just, and it was, the cover was worn off before I even knew it, you know. The movie comes out, and everybody's talking about it. And nobody's mothers are letting them go. And I'm about, 67. I was about 11, 12, 13 years old. And 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I was in that decade. And my mother said, you cannot see Valley of the Dolls. You're not going to go see Valley of the Dolls. I want you to let you see Valley of the Dolls. And you can't see Valley of the Dolls. So, of course, you know, tell any kid what he can't see. And that's the one thing that they want to see. So we snuck in. This was one of the first movies I snuck into, you know.
I licked pills, booze, and the funny farm. I don't need anybody or anything.
I came out of this movie and I thought, wow, what was all the fuss about?
Art films. Nudies, that's all they are. Nudies.
Anyway, this is a story. Basically, the plot is 3 girls come to New York to find fame and fortune and love. And they choose all the wrong men for the supposedly right reasons with all the wrong results. So consequently, it's about their romantic entanglements, what happens, how they're used, how they're abused, and how eventually they all turn to amphetamines, which are the dolls, and they all get hooked. It was based on Jackie Susann's early acting career in New York in the late 40s, in which she was friends with Ethel Merman, friends with Carol Landis, and about the whole business at the time. And the novel was set in the 40s originally. When 20th Century Fox bought it, they decided to update it and modernize it. So they brought it into the present. Now, the 3 characters are Neely, who's the singer. She's this driven girl. She's going to be a star no matter what.
I'll leave this stinking show with dignity.
She's a little dynamo. Anne, who is from Connecticut in a good family and never really left the town and needed to find love and adventure and a bit of romance in New York. And Jennifer, who is stacked.
I know I don't have any talent, and I know all I have is a body, and I am doing my bust exercises.
Now, during the course of this, these girls meet up, they end up in show business in one way or another, and they become all good friends.
She's lovely. I bet 100 beads pop off every time she moves.
And then there's Helen Lawson. Helen Lawson is the old trumpet, the old Broadway star. She's tough. She's been around the block.
The only hit that comes out of a Helen Lawson show is Helen Lawson. And that's me, baby, remember?
These characters were sort of based, and it was all the talk of the papers at the time. Who are these characters based on? Well, supposedly the Neely character was based on Judy Garland.
Yeah, I'm a big star.
The Barbara Parkins character, I think Jackie Susann sort of thought that was her in some respect, but it wasn't really. And Jennifer was based sort of on Carol Landis, the tragic star who killed herself in the late 40s, and Marilyn Monroe. Helen Lawson was based on Ethel Merman, who actually pulled a Helen Lawson. In the movie, Helen Lawson has
Neely fired from her show, from her musical, because she's too good. And she's doing a song, and the song goes, and Neely goes with it.
You heard me. The song goes, and the kid with it.
Oh, Helen, come on.
In real life, Ethel Merman had Betty Hutton thrown out of Panama Hattie because of the same thing. And ironically, Betty Hutton went on years later when Judy Garland dropped out of Annie Get Your Gun and did the movie of Annie Get Your Gun. So, revenge is sweet, Ethel. Honey!
I know all about run-of-the-play contract.
They hired Patty Duke to do this movie. Patty Duke was the freshest thing in show business at the time. She'd won the first really juvenile acting Oscar for playing Helen Keller in The Miracle Worker. She had a very popular television show called The Patty Duke Show. There's Patty who's lived most everywhere, from Zanzibar to Parkins Square, but Kathy's always in this. Anyway.
Gotta get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and sparkle, Neely, sparkle.
Barbara Parkins, who got to play the good girl, Anne, had come up playing the bad girl in Peyton Place. Betty, the town loose girl, you know. In the movie, Lana Turner says, I don't want you hanging out with Betty Anderson. She's loose. You know? So she got to play Anne. Jennifer was played by Sharon Tate. Sharon Tate was this model. She was absolutely breathtakingly gorgeous. She was married to director Roman Polanski at the time. He had done a movie with her called The Fearless Vampire Killers. So these were the people that were in line to do this. Now, to play Helen Lawson, they got Judy Garland. Judy was at a point in her career, her television show had tanked. It was a very, very bad experience. She desperately needed a hit. And, you know, they kind of took advantage of her. They thought, oh, she's down. This is great. This is going to be great publicity. I don't know if anybody really thought she would last in this. But it was enough press around it. So there's very famous press pictures of her holding the book, and Jackie Susann, Judy Garland, and, you know, and she did the talk shows and talked about it a bit. And it was ironic that, you know, she was going to be in this movie as Ethel Merman while Patty Duke was supposedly playing her as Neely. You see how overlapping this is.
Neely. Neely O'Hara!
So they start the shoot. And Mark Robson was a renowned director. I think the reason they chose him was because he had directed Peyton Place. Now, Peyton Place has always been known as the best movie version of a trashy novel. It was better than the novel. So they picked Mark Robson to do this. And he was just nasty. He was a nasty piece of work. And he was so mean to Patty Duke and to Sharon Tate. He really undermined them constantly. He made fun of them. And Patty Duke always referred to him as that mean old son of a bitch. She always referred to him as that. And they got Judy Garland on the set, and he would keep her waiting. This is according to Patty Duke. He would keep her waiting for hours, and she had, you know, a drinking problem. So she would be good, and she'd be all fresh in the morning, and they wouldn't use her till the late afternoon, in which her insecurities got the better of her. She would start drinking. So within a short amount of time, they got some stuff filmed. They filmed her song. They did wardrobe tests with her. They got some scenes with her shot, and they fired her. They fired her. Patty Duke just said it was just the saddest thing because they had undermined her completely. They just sabotaged her. So Mark Robson got on the phone and called Fort Lauderdale and called my favorite, Susan Hayward. And he had directed Susan Hayward to an Oscar nomination in My Foolish Heart back in 1949, which got her second nomination. So she had worked with him before. And Susie was tough. She was great.
I've had it rough before. I'm a barracuda.
She had gone to Fort Lauderdale when her husband died suddenly, and she was just fishing. She loved to fish in the ocean and, you know, deep sea fish and stuff. And she was happy down there, but she wasn't working. And he said, Susie, you got to do me a favor. You got to come to Hollywood and shoot. We fired Judy Garland, and we need you to replace it. And this was like on a Friday, and we want you there on a Monday to get going. And Susan said, I'll do it under two conditions. First of all, you pay me twice what you did Garland. And he said, okay. He said, what's the second condition? She says, you pay Judy Garland her full salary. That's Judy Garland. She's a star. You don't do that to a star. And under those conditions, they brought Susan Hayward out, and she did Helen Lawson.
I don't need pills like Neely.
This movie is, granted, it's kind of It's kind of trashy. It's kind of all over the place. It's a lot of fun.
You know, you almost made me feel I was queer.
There's a documentary called Hollywood Secrets Revealed, The Real Voices of the Dubbed Stars by Mark Milano. We'll list the link below. It will tell you everything about all the various vocals and dubbing things that went into making Valley of the Dolls, as well as the whole history of dubbing in Hollywood. He's a brilliant editor, Mark Milano, and the best thing about it was it's commented on by the delicious, talented Charles Bush and myself, the Tired Old Queen. So you might really like it. Just check for the listing below.
Yeah, I'm a big star.
This movie is just 60s camp. It's high melodrama from the word go. It's a lot of sex, but it doesn't show you a lot, but it implies a lot of sex, you know, and they use a lot of lines that, you know, you hadn't heard in the movies before.
That's a switch from the fags you're usually stuck with.
At least I never married one.
You take that back, you
Get your hands off me.
And for Gay Pride, I don't think you can lose by watching Patty Duke, Barbara Parkins, Sharon Tate, Lee Grant, Martin Milliner, Tony Scotti, Alex Davian, and the amazing Susan Hayward as Helen Lewison in Mark Robson's film version of Jackie Susann's Valley of the Dolls. Gotta get out.
Let's all go to the lobby.
Martin Miller.
Let's all go to the lobby.
Arthur Miller. Martin Milner. it's Milner with an I and Martin with an E.
The popcorn can't be beat.